Hello, welcome to our weekly United We Stand sessions. I'm Christina Tobin with Free and Equal Elections, and I want to invite you to get to know a little bit more about our guest this week, Adam Kokesh. Welcome to the sessions.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Christina, and for all the work that you do as an activist. And I think, it's so beautiful to see. I've known you for so long now, but you've always we've gone different ways strategically, but I've always respected that you are committed to being an activist. And to me, that means you've been motivated by a deep-seated sense of injustice, and bringing that to what you're doing together now. I don't know. I have so many different ways we could go with the conversation today.
I know it's probably been a decade in the making since I've met you. I recall doing it, I think like an In the Fed rally out in Kentucky. Do you remember that? Back in the day. I'll send you photos from memories.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we're talking 8-9 years ago when there were the first round of End the Fed rallies. It was. Well, the first one we did was DC. It was November. I don't even remember what year it was, but I just remember how goddamn cold it was in DC. And you're like, why do people live here?
You guys, Adam just ran for president as a Libertarian. Some people in our network may have no idea who you are. They're like, Adam Kokesh, of course, in the Libertarian, freedom movement world, and I don't even want to tag it too much more detail than that. Pretty darn well known. But Adam, you've ran for, you were part of our presidential debate. Somehow we got 18 candidates there in March, right before this whole thing that's happening, whatever it is. So thank you for being a part of that debate and supporting free and equal elections like-minded. Who are you for people who just haven't gone onto your wiki page just to see all the things that you've done?
I'm just another good old American boy next door who misses the days before we had this dark cloud of the coronavirus hanging over our heads. Can I pander any more obviously or no? Let's see. But no, it's funny to think that back when you pulled that event together, it really was a logistical feat and an accomplishment for you as an activist in your organization. And now looking back, it's like it might be a while before we're allowed to do that again. And it really is a sad state of things. I still like to take a little perspective on this, and I do a daily live show now for 2 hours a day as the current iteration of Adam versus the Man. It's a 10.0. I had a TV show, I had a radio show, went independent, built my YouTube channel up. We just hit 5 million views in the last month. That's better than I was doing before, and we still get demonetized on most things. We're still fighting an uphill battle of censorship, as I know you're familiar with, and I've fought in different ways in all my life as a pundit. I hesitate to call myself a journalist because that's way too dignified a way to describe what I do, either in politics or activism.
I don't think you fight either. You're more of like standing up for what's right and, truth.
But what I'm doing now, trying to do, a 2-hour daily news production where I'm giving people, an accurate view on current events and a counter narrative to the mainstream. And, open and honest about, my biases and what I'm doing. And part of it is just trying to show people, what's going on in the world today. I do take that as a point of journalistic responsibility. And I do take on, I think a sense of journalistic integrity of wanting to cite sources and to be precise and things like that. But yeah, I'm certainly more of a pundit and an activist with Adam versus the Man, which I've done in a whole different variety of versions since I lost a Republican primary. Oh, did I say the R word? I'm sorry. I was a Republican candidate.
Did you use the party line?
I was a Republican candidate for Congress in 2010. It's embarrassing to admit. I was a registered and lifetime. Oh, she's not registered, but before that, a registered and lifetime member of the Libertarian Party, and I paid for that the first time I could afford it when I got back from Iraq in 2004. And then I got to play Michael Bednarik, the Libertarian nominee for president in 2004, in a mock debate. against
Oh,
someone
no.
representing college Republicans and college Democrats when I was back on campus after my my deployment to Iraq in 2004. So my real start in full-time activism was with Iraq Veterans Against the War, speaking out on that policy, and it's a
I remember.
maddening situation to find yourself in, to come home from a war zone. And it was really more of an occupation when I was there, but I was there for the siege of Fallujah, the first battle of Fallujah. So I got a legitimate taste of combat. I never fired my weapon in combat. I was a driver usually, or guarding something that where people are shooting at shadows and muzzle flashes. But I got shot at a fair amount. I had some very close calls. Everybody else in my vehicle firing when I was driving. Had some convoys with some IDs, all of that, and it's enough that it's maddening to come home from that situation, and I saw enough death. I saw enough death to be motivated by it, and to come home and see that the mainstream media is not telling the American people the truth about what's going on in Iraq, and your buddies are still dying over there. And when you go, if the American people knew what was going on, if the American people just knew my story, even as a civil affairs Marine in Fallujah in 2004, that, you come home from that, you get out of the military and go, if I can just tell my story, we can save some lives, and to try to be in that position to do whatever you can to get the American people's attention. But for me, it was going from that to saying, well, hey, it's really not enough. And it's kind of the slippery nature of the global war on terror, really the global war of terror, where is it this front or that front? But to realize that it's not enough to be against one war, you have to be against this whole policy. And then you go, well, what produced that policy? And it's not just, well, there was this thing called 9/11 that the government lied to us about, and one way or another, no matter what your opinion is on what happened on 9/11, you cannot escape the reality. Government lied to us about it because it's contradicted itself enough times now, but used it as a nowhere near legitimate justification for all of the various policies it's justified with it since then. You go, we have to address this. It's not enough to be against a war or the global war on terror, or the military-industrial complex that produced this policy, or the politicians that vote for it, or the military itself and the commander-in-chief who carry it out, but really to oppose militarism itself and to realize what that represents as a component of statism. War is the health of the state. And what that really led me to was the bottom of the rabbit hole on libertarianism, ethics, and voluntarism, and putting that together. And that's been the core of my motivation since then as an activist, to be motivated by a deep-seated sense of injustice and thinking, how do I serve that cause the best? And it has to be changing how people think, waking people up, but of course also changing policy and changing the physical reality. How do we get to that? And I think raising awareness of ethics in politics, or as we advocate as libertarians, who believe in self-ownership and the non-aggression principle, say, hey, look, let's apply ethics to politics, shall we? Taxation is theft, war is murder, no victim, no crime. If you arrest someone for smoking a plant that you don't like, you're the criminal. You're the asshole. They are the victim. Prison population of 2.3 million Americans locked up. They're victims. If they're the victims, who's the government is the criminal. Let's own up to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, having the highest prison population. We just had Lynn Ulbricht on United We Stand sessions, and that one really struck having her son wrongfully, I feel, be put into prison for life, no parole. In any way that I can help manifest and elect a really independent presidential candidate, maybe that presidential candidate would want to cut back government or shift power to a local level, and so on, kind of go in the vision where you're at, which I'm open to what the people decide, always have been. But it has become a business. Prison system.
As long as you're making it about that, and you introduced me as a presidential candidate, I didn't get to do my disclaimer, and I kind of have like two disclaimers I have to shoehorn in here. First of all,
ooh, take your time.
When I'm introduced as a presidential candidate, I have to go like, hold on, I'm not like all these other pricks who want to run the system and tell you who's in charge. My platform is fundamentally different, and what my campaign was offering the Libertarian Party as a candidate for their nomination, for our nomination, really, and what I'm offering to the American people, or would have been as the nominee, is to dissolve the federal government, to take it through a peaceful, orderly, responsible bankruptcy, where we, as much as possible, directly, the American people, take back what's been stolen from us. We get rid of it. By the way, it's only 3 million out of 22 million. You remember my talking points, right? It was out of 22 million Americans who work for the government in the United States at the state, federal, and local level combined. It's only 3 million that work for the feds. It's a disgusting, wasteful layer of grisly fat we can cut off the top, localize control, get rid of so much fraud, waste, and abuse, localize government, customize it, take this first really relatively moderate step towards localization. So me being president wasn't an option. It was resign on day one, bankruptcy, let's take it through this process. And then the second thing, disclaimer wise here, is that that I didn't win the nomination. Obviously, I'm not speaking to you as the candidate today, but I am speaking to you as an enthusiastic supporter of Dr. Joe Jorgensen, our presidential nominee, and Spike Cohen, our vice presidential nominee for the Libertarian Party this year. They are both great representatives of what the Libertarian Party and message and movement represents in a calling of humanity to a higher standard of ethics, of don't hit, don't steal, don't kill, not unless you're a cop or a soldier or an IRS agent. And what they are offering the American people now as our nominees is the opportunity for America to transition the federal government to a voluntary and much less vicious and exploitive system. And what they would be doing would be localizing a lot of control anyway. And I really believe that that is the future, that we get government down to the community level, that's how we transition to systems that are ethical and in line with the people they are serving, so to speak. Whereas today you look at government, you go, is that really serving the people? I got a bridge to sell you. I got a government bridge with it's just got one little section missing, just one little section. It's not that big. I mean, you can jump over it, right? I mean, if you're a pole vaulter, I can just go one little government bridge to sell you, and yeah. No, I don't buy it, and I think again, to turn it to you, Christina, a big part of what you're doing with these interviews and with your activism in general is just calling attention to these embarrassingly undeniable facts of American politics.
Well, thanks, and we're just getting started, kind of ramping it back up to my 2008 days. Coordinating.
Interesting timing you've chosen.
Well, back in 2008, it was cool coordinating. Went from essentially a road trip coordinator to a month later, the national ballot access coordinator for independent Ralph Nader. And as you know, I would have done it for Dr. Ron Paul as well. So I'm definitely an organizer. I feel one of my strengths is finding the best team, quality as in heart and follow through, and some of the hardest heartfelt workers on our team have gone through probably tens if not hundreds of thousands of people. And it's just like a hand-picked team on the ballot access side as well as on the free and equal side. And the debate in March was definitely a clear sign to myself, free and equal elections and the team, just a snippet of the team that was there versus what's out in the U.S. Having 18 candidates confirmed for that was a dream come true, but at the same time, it was, oh my God, how am I going to moderate 18 candidates? But, we did it. And Joe Jorgensen, she did such a beautiful job. All the candidates were their own, and I can see why she was nominated. So she told us she wants to come on United We Stand sessions. We sent an invite. We haven't heard back from her yet, so hope to have her on soon. Howie Hawkins will be on in a couple weeks, I think. So that's cool, the Green Party.
I got to sit next to Howie at your event in the debate.
I've known him a decade as well, Adam. I met him in 2008 when I worked for Ralph Nader, and we did the turn-in ballot drive for New York. I met Howie there. That guy coordinated on the ground that ballot drive, and we teamed up, and I think I was late 20s then. So Howie, it was really neat to see him in March.
It's easy. it's easy for me as a libertarian to hear him talk and actually listen to what he's saying intellectually and go, God damn it, this guy's offensively wrong about this and this and this. But then, sitting next to him, like, being a veteran himself, and I think I would say this is really critical for advancing the conversation as a whole, but specifically for my libertarian fan base to be able to look at someone like Howie Hawkins and say, that's an activist. That guy's an activist.
He is really. I've seen him on the ballot access side, so I've seen the different sides, and he is deeply rooted. I think he was a post office worker, mailman. Yeah. Just recently retired too. Local control for sure. I've heard you speak about a decentralized platform network. I know with free and equal elections, we are proceeding with our presidential debate. This October 8th, it'll be in Denver, Colorado. Of course, we're already in touch with Joe and Jorgensen and Howie Hawkins and so on.
I'm sorry, Christina, hold on a second. I don't mean to interrupt too much on this, but before I forget, why host a debate when you could host a cognitive test? Now hold on, bear with me.
Write that down.
I've talked to Joe about this. And I don't know if free and equal is the way to do this, but you could be the neutral moderator organizer. And I'm thinking we do a super PAC and we raise however much money we can. And we say, we are going to host a cognitive test at the National Press Club. I know you're familiar with the venue, the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. And we say, we'll provide transportation for any presidential candidate who's going to be on enough ballots to possibly win. You're all invited, and we're going to take all the money and we're just going to use it to broadcast the results.
I mean, I'm open to a second debate. We can move. It's going to be October 8th in Denver, Colorado. We've got roots there, and it's the final stop of the United We Stand tour, Adam. So we're proceeding. Jessica will send you more details. I'd love to have you come speak on the stage. You'll spice it up. Bring your Freedom Bus and interview and hang out with all the artists and thought leaders. And we're sponsoring the 15th annual Tribal Vision out in Taos, New Mexico. It's going to be a private event, so it'll be like really artists and our core team and so on. And then we're sponsoring the 12th annual Sister Winds Festival up in Boulder, Colorado. It's going to be. So that's like September 25th through 27th and October 2nd through the 4th. And then our presidential debate, our team will be in Colorado October 8th. So, but I'm open to a second one. We'll see what happens. And I agree with you. Debate is a bit, I feel like our debates are more conversations, but media, taglines, words, we really want to kind of shift I don't know. I think the Commission on Presidential Debates is starting to, I don't even know if they'll have two candidates at the CPD this year. We will.
Exactly what you said about the debates they're being conversational. It's not just that they're kind of too friendly. It's not like the moderators have come to shy away from ever really asking anything about a candidate's ability. So like just today, for example, I did a really fun cannabis panel for Adam versus the Man. We had a lot of fun with this today, and we had a trivia game. We played a little cannabis trivia game, and one of my questions was, "What's the population of the United States?" What's the current? And the answer is 330 million, and it's about 0.1 right now. But for a while now, we'll be able to say 330 million Americans, 2.3 million in jail. And that number doesn't mean anything without that context. And I think the cognitive, it's freaking hilarious. Who do we have running right now from the old parties? Donald Trump, Cadet Bone Spurs, Orange Julius. Like, really, this is Cheeto Jesus? This isn't, and man, woman, cat, boy, can't, like that, really? And then Joe Biden, the kid sniffer, like the stuff that he has done, and even the way that he somehow managed to convince a critical mass of Democrats that his gaffes, he can joke that he's a gaffe machine. No, look at what he says. It's revealing. It's not like Trump typing covfefe on Twitter and falling asleep in a KFC sadness bowl and a pile of his own drool. No, like with cable news blaring in the background. No, we're talking Joe Biden asking a reporter, "Well, how dare you ask if I take a cognitive test? Are you a junkie?" And then you have Dr. Joe Jorgensen, and you go, "Holy crap. The contrast couldn't be clearer than right." And just what Trump, how old is Trump? 74? And Biden is what, 77? I don't want to say if I don't know for sure, but he's 70 something.
Yeah, I don't know offhand.
I mean, like, can we? I'm sorry, Christina. Free and equal is missing the point. You're way too smart. You're like over people's heads. People are like, free and equal elections? What does that even mean? Can we just have a Trump? Can we just have a president that can pass a cognitive test, that can identify a picture of an elephant on a picture identification test? Citizens for intelligent citizens for a competent president. It's a super PAC that needs to happen.
Yeah, I saw your interview you recently had with Roger Stone as well. He was on a live stream for our annual electoral reform symposium a couple years ago. Tyler Nixon, grandson of Richard Nixon, connected us and kind of full circle and all. And what an interview that was. You guys had some very different viewpoints. I mean, but I commend you. Like, you were really handled it really professionally well. You've evolved a lot. I
got to call him a friend. That way I didn't have to. Calling him a friend means I don't have to be a journalist the whole time, right? Like,
you brought up the coronavirus. It was interesting, how that was a reason he got out of jail, or where he's at, his health and so on. But I felt you.
Thank you
on your viewpoints on that topic.
Yeah, it was a fun and challenging interview, and I think I got him to admit that the only reason he's supporting Trump is because he commuted a sentence, and like what could then send him back. So like, I don't know, like is Roger Stone, like, if Trump doesn't win re-election, is that when we're gonna get to see Roger Stone unleashed? Like, it might, or if Trump wins re-election 4 years later, and then we get to see Roger Stone, like, I don't want to say dish on Trump, because that would be fun too, but to like actually in a meaningful way, break with that towards libertarianism, or towards, something more directly challenging the duopoly, as you think he's done in the past. But even at this point, you go, is this all just a dirty trick, right? Is this some other manipulation?
I think you were both spot on different viewpoints. It's interesting. I find myself sort of in the middle on different topics. So that was kind of cool to see, which is probably why I'm in the role that I am in with free and equal elections. People are like, "Oh, you're so political." I'm like, "Are you kidding?" I opened up a shop here in Cambria, where I live, California, last month, a jewelry shop, Bali Gems. I do jewelry design. Like, my background's graphic design and business marketing. Am I super passionate about politics? No, but it's in everything that we do. And so it's a duty. This is my way of serving and giving back to my country. And I just haven't been able to walk away because my conscience would not let me. I didn't see anything else rising that could truly unite and be in really a neutral place to a certain extent, but really in the same place and wanting, peace, positive, happiness, and love to thrive throughout the US and the world. I think most of us are on that wavelength deep down, no matter what stage or state of mind that we're in right now.
Yeah, it's funny that, because jewelry is something we actually have in common. I don't know if we've touched base on this briefly, but I've gone to the Revere School of Jewelry in San Francisco, the Revere Academy of Jewelry Arts, rather. And, I've studied under some native jewelers, and I've done, my share of silversmithing. And it's not like, and I've sold in custom designed pieces. And I want to get back to that, like when the homestead here in the garden is all fully built out. And, when I finally get Adam versus the Man actually making money again. We'll get there. The struggle with independent media is real, but we'll get there. And it's really exciting. We did 5.1 million views in the last 28 days. And it's like, wow, this is happening. But the other thing I want to comment on, what you said there,
Adam, if I may interject, the way to get there is going to be from the ground up.
And just being consistent. I love the production team that I have right now. I've got a great producer with CJ Abernathy, another Libertarian Party
candidate. On the ground.
Yeah, well, growing Adam versus the Man, just the online audience. Sometimes I wonder, if for me personally, like I've had a bigger impact that way. But for you, I wanted to point out that one of the things I've always appreciated about you, and at first it's frustrating because as a libertarian, I'm like, why won't you just identify as a libertarian? Like, why won't you convert? Like, why won't you just convert already? And what you have carved out for yourself is like a really beautiful kind of neutral space where you're able to bring people together in a way that no one else in American political activism is right now. And what you pulled off in March really proved that. I don't know if we're ever going to get back to doing that on the ground, though. And I've gotten to say I told you so a lot lately around Corona and lockdowns and shutdowns and economic consequences. And there was a cliff that we fell off with the forced unemployment crisis, but there's still like this huge downward economic momentum that has to be worked out of the system. Even if all the lockdowns and restrictions and everything were lifted tomorrow, businesses closing, adjustments in people with their daily lives, consumer habits, the eviction crisis that is going to be rolled out in chunks here over the next few months. There's some sickening shit on the horizon, but I don't know how long it's going to last. I don't think anybody can predict that because it is really determined by what can the people, and again, regardless of your opinion on the virus itself, it is turned into a huge racket. It is even if you believe the numbers and the fear mongering. I don't believe any of it, but there's a real virus, but it is being hugely overblown. There are a lot of people lying about it, and even if you don't think they're lying about it, there are people lying in order to profit off of this, as the system always does, to exploit our vulnerability. So the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. $9 trillion of liquidity added to the system isn't made with fairy dust. That's coming out of your hide. When the Federal Reserve creates more money, when they add trillions of dollars to the liquidity in the market of the US dollar system, that means that the purchasing value of the dollars in your back pocket lose value, and your bank account, and your next stimulus check, if you're lucky enough to get one, your next unemployment check, if you're lucky enough to get one. If you're renting, if you're lucky enough to have a landlord who's not going to evict you because your job just doesn't exist because of Corona. There's a lot more shit coming. It could be a long time before we get back to anything meaningful for in-person politics.
Or something could rise. As Ron Paul says, when an idea comes, nothing will get in its way. The 3% of the population backing an idea, and I think it's going to be through music. I think music's going to be key. And I think it's going to be live streamed on a decentralized platform beyond Facebook. And I'm in a very unique position, Adam, because as a neutral person and being able to unite, and my ideas are always evolving. So I'm not stuck on, I believe just this. It's always evolving where I'm at. I get to hear so many perspectives from far left. I've been to socialist events, I've been to anarchist events, and so on. And so it gives me a unique perspective and foresight as well. I knew even 2 decades, really a decade ago, there would come a day where there would need to be that platform that is all inviting of peaceful ideas. All we ask is the words of MLK, nonviolent action, coming together. And the John Lennon, there are no problems, only solutions. I love that song, Watching the Wheels. I actually have a 64 Gibson guitar I've started playing. I have so much more respect for musicians. I mean, picking up an instrument now and playing and singing, and just wrote my first song, called Shame on You, I'm calling out really Congress and the system. And The solution's coming. Thousands of us will rise and run, and so on. So, and replace Congress, the disease will be done. So that's going to happen in 22, by the way. Congressional candidates are going to start getting replaced across the board. All right, so you're making your own country, Adam.
Yeah. This is the Gardenia Sovereignty Project.
And as the Declaration of Independence says, government derives their powers from the consent of the government, right?
Right. So we are starting a propertarian constitutional monarchy here in the great sovereign bountiful constitutional republican kingdom monarchy. No, it's not scratch that word Republican. That has nothing to do with it. It is not a republic.
Wait, is that 2010 coming through?
I'm just getting carried away because I want to make fun of government as much as possible. No, but this is actually a serious exercise.
United Nations of Freedom.
Yeah, so the long title of
I'm with you, man.
Our country. Yeah, I mean, in a way, this is kind of inspired by the ways that you've brought people together. But with Gardenia here, the short name of our country is Gardenia. The formal name or the full name is the Garden of Freedom, and the formal legal title is the Allodial Bountiful Sovereign Constitutional Kingdom of the Garden of Freedom in perpetuity. And my title, of course, is.
I thought that was your title, but
no, that's the land. My title includes that because I am God Emperor King Adam Charles Kokesh the First, founder of the Bountiful Sovereign titles, so on in perpetuity, and first president of the United Nations of Freedom. And so what we did on Independence Day this year is declare our intent to declare our independence a year from that day. So next Independence Day, we will actually be declaring the independence with the full legal weight that entails, drawing on the precedent of the American Declaration of Independence and the U.S. Constitution, say that we're actually improving on this process. That we are declaring our independence in a way that guarantees peace instead of raising the possibility of war, that we are committed to nonviolence in this, and that we are going to assert our sovereignty and take whatever we can get. And if you want to violate our sovereignty here, or really it's mine. I mean, I'm doing this me personally. You can say my wife and I, my Queen Samantha Kokesh the First.
Samantha, I look forward to meeting you.
She also has a full title, but I'll spare you that for right now. Hers is longer than mine, actually. So we're going to have a proper, peaceful process that says, like, this is how we learn from history. This is how we improve on it. And this is part of a long human tradition of declaring sovereignty, of declaring your independence, but also specifically of micronations in the modern era. And a lot of them have succeeded to various degrees, and we think we can combine a lot of the strengths with what we're doing here, considering we have 11 acres. We're already totally off-grid and self-sustainable. And what I mean by this is a propertarian constitutional monarchy is that I own the land. I own all the land in this sovereign, national unit, and I claim as the sovereign to be the king. So it's a monarchy. I claim, the hereditary right of just property, but it's really of the ownership. If I give the land to someone else or sell it to someone else, they can do whatever they want with it. But I have a legitimate claim to declare this is how this area is going to be governed by me personally, because I own it. I've settled it. I've bought it. The American government has granted me even ownership privileges in the government system that we live under in America today. And we're creating a way that everybody can do this. And that's what the United Nations of Freedom is about, giving people a place where, we're the United Nations of Freedom. We're like the United Nations, except that we care about freedom. Yeah, that's what sets us apart. That's the one thing that we expect that our member nations, have
you actually, you aren't just saying it, but you actually do.
Yes.
Sounds about right.
Yes, and so as the monarch, as the king, as the sovereign owner of this property, I'm going to be writing a constitution that says how I'm going to exercise that authority here so that people who are guests or residents or even citizens of Gardenia, we might be offering citizenships and passports and tax havens and things like that. And lots of business opportunities with this, of course. You know, the way that I am laying out this authority isn't just, well, I own it, what I say goes. But I'm doing it with a clear respect for self-ownership of individuals, with a clear respect for ethics and morality, so that if you come here, you know, we're not going to say, well, you're on my land, so I own you. No, like that is, you're respected as a guest, and that these are these standards of behavior here, basically respect for the non-aggression principle. But other than that, you know, you're free to do what you want here. This is the Garden of Freedom, after all. And by doing it this way, we want to provide a template and a way for other people to connect with the United Nations of Freedom, to do the same thing and assert their sovereignty. So just one last thing by way of introducing this idea in the modern tradition of micronations. There are three examples that I think we can combine in all of their strength to achieve what we want to here. And one of them is a completely ridiculous parody micronation called the Conch Republic. Do you know the Conch Republic story, Christina?
I do. Florida Keys.
I thought you would. So correct me if I'm wrong.
1982.
Yes, the year I was born. And I got this story from Stephen
Oh, you're a little younger. I was 81.
So Stephen Nikayla is the chair of the Libertarian Party of Florida, and he loves telling the story. And he is from the Keys now, and it was because they set up a border, the CPB, Customs and Border Patrol, CBP, set up a checkpoint on the one causeway connecting the Keys to the mainland. And everybody in the Keys was like, what is it? What? How? What? No. What, are you calling us a separate country? All right, then screw you. We're going to be a separate country. And we declare war in the United States. And it was a joke. It was an obvious joke and a protest, but they declared themselves the Conch Republic. And I think they threw fruit from one of their little boats onto some Navy boat that was stationed out there. And it worked as a parody form of protest. It changed policy, and they got the checkpoint removed. Another one here is Molossia, which is in the state of I think it's Utah, and the chancellor of Molossia just has this whole parody government set up on his own property, where he asserts the right to operate as a sovereign in a lot of ways. It's really beautiful. MOLOSSIA, if anybody wants to check this out. Wikipedia has a great entry that has a list of a bunch of current micronation projects. And they pay, he pays property, he doesn't pay property tax, he pays foreign aid to the county government that just so happens to be the amount that they ask for in property taxes from him. And other than that, they respect the sovereignty, right? And then there's the case of Sealand, which gets to our serious example here. And we do want to make this, while we do want to maintain a sense of humor, we do want to be exposing the ridiculousness of statism and authority by declaration, by saying, look, you did it over there, so we're going to do it over here. You know, you declared that you're on charge because you said so, because you had the biggest guns. What, really? Well, I'm doing that here. You said that I own this land. Well, now we're independent. What? Step. Really? You want to bring it? You want to come? You want to violate the sovereignty of Gardenia? Like, really? Bring it. But in the case of Sealand, they took an abandoned naval British seaport and occupied it before they decommissioned them and destroyed them. And so they were able to declare it a sovereign space, and they've had that respected as a very small community operating as the sovereign unit of Sealand with this British seaport, that it's a big platform on these giant pylons sitting, you know, kind of in the middle of the ocean. And I think that in this day and age, this is the bottom-up version of my platform, which was kind of top-down, to say we'll localize by taking governments apart from the top down. And it's still a solution of decentralization. It's still, at some point, you got to get rid of the institution, or at least turn it into a museum, let it wither away. I don't care. But, you know, getting decentralization from the ground up, I think asserting it this way, I think it's really exciting and has a lot of potential.
Yeah, I was also researching a little bit out in the western bank of the Danube River, Liberland out there.
Yes, Liberland.
Where they claim
that's the other one I used as a serious
claim
example.
the parcel land between, I think, Croatia and Serbia.
Yes.
That's cool. So, yeah, peaceful, negotiated the Declaration of Sovereignty out there. So, yeah, I like the parody, the humor. You got to keep it light. It's like with our events, we want to have comedians and laughter and some really great ones out there. But, you know, there's a realness. Got to keep it real and a great frequency and all. But have fun, you know? So I like the mixture there, and I see where you're going with it. I like the idea of decentralization from the ground up. And I definitely think another key is bringing us all together and your ideas and many others together to protect us, to shield, to elevate us, to rise above maybe the plans or the last ditch effort the current system or government has with the implementation of contact tracing and House Bill 6666. Shame on Congress. Shame on you guys. You know, shame on funding the banksters, the multi-trillion-dollar. Good on Thomas Massie in Kentucky for holding the people who voted for that accountable. Good on you, Thomas Massie.
Yes.
I think that's the only person in Congress right now we're inviting on the United We Stand tour that I can think of. Let me know if you can think of anyone else that, I mean, I 100%.
Justin Amash, of course. You got to invite Justin Amash.
Did he not register as a Libertarian? He said he did and didn't.
He is, well, no, he is now properly, fully affiliated, both as a member of Congress and as an individual with the Libertarian Party.
But I heard he's not a registered Libertarian, but said he would register. So
No,
check
he
that
is.
out. So
Okay,
cool.
Excuse me.
But
No, so he danced around the process a little bit.
Did you sneeze? Did you sneeze? Oh, I thought you did.
Yeah, I did. No, I did. Don't worry, you can't get corona through the internet.
I know. We're even holding in our sneezes on a live stream. You know, don't worry, I'm not gonna catch anything over here. Gotta let it out. You know, gosh, our health.
Yeah, no. So
anyway.
I have plenty of things that I question about Justin Amash strategically. And one of the things he did that I was like, oh, come on, you know, was that he went independent and then he went libertarian and then, you know, registered and then affiliated and then announced that he was running for the nomination and then backed out before any votes were counted. And it looks like he's not running for re-election because he's basically getting screwed out of the seat by the old party. No surprise there. But at this point, he is fully associated with the Libertarian Party. And he is, far be it for me, who has accomplished so much less for freedom, to question the strategic decisions of someone who has accomplished as much as Justin Amash has.
Nice to know. Yeah, he's definitely one of the better ones. Something about Thomas Massie, though. He's just an ace. Like, I mean,
yeah, no, those two always stood out since they've been in for me.
Sweet to know. So going back to, I've really, Garden of Freedom, Gardenia, I took down some notes from you of saying to the extent of like, it is our, and I agree with you, it is our duty as Americans to throw off the tyranny as we are experiencing today and to build on the work of those who've gone before us. I hope to get Bernard Lafayette on United We Stand sessions. I've spoken to him on the phone. He's reached out to Joan Baez in the past. I mean, I'm not messing. I am build. And, you know, individuals, you know, like Amelia Boynton Robinson of Selma and Ramsey Clark drafting the Voting Rights Act in the 76, I think. And I agree with you. There's been so much built off the women's suffrage, you know, movement in the 1920s and so on. And even the recent gatherings for women, for Black lives, no matter who are the key organizers or instigators, some would say behind it, it is elevating a lot of new protesters or gatherers that are just learning, and it's bringing them in. I can see them shifting into a new system, towards a new system that will, I agree with you, better serve our safety and happiness. So good on you for doing your thing with Garden of Freedom, Gardenia. Good on you. It's your truth. It's what you want to do. It's your freedom to do it. Good luck with it. Where can people learn more about it, and how can they support and get involved?
Well, it's really early on in the project, right? We've been here for a few years, but it's taken a while before I had the clarity to even announce it like this and say that this is what we're doing. And to come up with the name, the Garden of Freedom, no one else has any brand like that. We actually got thegardenofreedom.com. Now, right now, it just redirects to our Facebook page. So there's not a whole lot going on there. If someone wanted to help out with that, we could use even a lot of help remotely working on this project. Obviously, a lot of this is just putting together the website, the community, the organization. But if you want to keep track of what we're doing here, we are also on Instagram at the Garden of Freedom. Yeah, we got the handle there too. So we have a really, really beautiful gallery. You can see the Milky Way here at night with the naked eye anytime the moon's not out. I mean, and sometimes with the moon. It's stunning. Like the light pollution is so low here. And we're in the middle of, I think it's called the Perseid meteor shower that's like just at its peak right now. Last night, we got out on the roof and hung out and just watched the meteor shower. It was amazing. So we have a lot going on here, construction wise, building out the facility. A lot that we want to do we want to build a border wall for our nation state, of course. We want to keep Trump out. We want to make sure that we don't have any government intrusion here that's unnecessary. But yeah,
what if they qualify? What if the U.S. qualify? You say they don't qualify, but what if they were willing to work with you, the U.S. of A., or even Trump, or any,
Well, really, what we hope to do is after negotiating peaceful diplomatic relations with our neighboring countries, which is basically the United States, we do plan to declare war, and we hope that after we lose the war, that we can get a few $1 billion in rebuilding funds through the State Department in order to jumpstart the economy of Gardenia. So
doesn't sound like a new idea. Sounds like you're using someone else's idea, Adam. Okay.
Has that been done before? Is that
not original? Yeah. Yeah. So Rockefeller, Rothschild, Murdoch, Soros too. Yeah. So and so on and so on.
Yeah. I would really encourage everybody who wants to get involved. If you want to come out, you want to live out here, see what we're doing with the homestead, variety of businesses, including Big Igloo Geodesics. If you want, Christina, if you want to wrap up, I can pick up my camera and give people a quick visual of.
I was also thinking, you'll get an invite to come out to Tribal Vision United We Stand in Taos, New Mexico, September 25th through 27th. It'll start around the 22nd, the equinox. Great place for you to speak and recruit some people. Those are your people that will come out and help you on the land there. I could see that happening as we flow up north to Boulder. I would like to talk to you after this interview more about your idea at the National Press Club in DC. Maybe after October 8th debate, we can do something bigger and broader, full circle, kind of bring in, I don't know, I'm open to it. I mean, we had 18 candidates in March for the presidential debate. I remember back in the day in 2008, was it, when Ron Paul held that press conference out there, uniting people. And I spoke to Ron a couple months ago, right before the March debate, a little more than a couple months. So I think with our synergy putting out there, I mean, anything's possible. We have some people there in person, and we can even have the live stream screen for if Ron Paul he's older now. He's like, I'm getting tired. So he's rocking Liberty Report. It's hard to see. But I mean, we got to take that into account. Our leaders are getting up there, some of them. But so let's dive into that in more detail. But yeah, show us the grounds, Adam. And congratulations on your marriage. Is that custom made?
Thank you very much. All right, let's see. We got to turn up.
Is that a custom made ring of yours?
Oh no, my wife and I are like we're just like whatever for rings. This is silicone. We have like multiple rings. We're not sentimental that way. All right, Let's see if I can go to my front camera and you can see what a mess. Let's see, camera 2 on facing front, facing back. Let's see.
And you do a show. Where can people sign up for your
AdamVersusTheMan.com. Well, first, as long as you're letting me get the shameless plugs in here.
Yep.
My book is Freedom. and it is free in every digital format possible at thefreedomline.com. And we give these away, as you know, Christina, at all of our events. And it's just 100 pages. It's the ultimate red pill. It's a very fun read.
Love that book. Love
yes, thank
Get
you,
that
thank
book.
you. And so, as you can see right now, Christina, I'm in my my retro studios here in the Freedom Wagon, where we had all the signatures from one of the earlier tours. But let's step outside here for a second, and let's see. I gotta grab my water, and I gotta grab this because this is how I'm gonna spend my afternoon hanging out on my roof, getting work done here. So we're gonna go outside of the old Freedom Wagon, and what else? Anyway, I gotta come back in there at some point. So. Here you can see that even though it's Arizona, we're not desert. We have this beautiful juniper wood or juniper trees for coverage here. You can see the big dome there. Are you getting that video? My screen froze.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So there it is. So yeah, you can see the dome. You can see the camp kitchen, our shipping container, friend's vehicle here. We've got the Freedom trailer. And all sorts of really fun stuff here. These domes we actually build out here. This is my other side hustle, is Big Igloo Geodesics. And we have the machinery to actually make all of these domes from scratch here on site. Got a little rocket stove oven over there.
Oh, signal I think might have dropped. So if you can hear me, we might be wrapping up the show. You still there, Adam? So that's Adam Kokesh. Very cool connecting with you. You might hop back on here. We'll see. And you can go to his website. Well, you can find him at Adam versus the Man all over YouTube. And he does the Freedom Line. Oh, I can barely hear you. You might have to go back to where you were, cutting in and out still. So I think we might be wrapping up the United We Stand sessions for the day. Adam, it's such a pleasure as always to have you, and look forward to seeing you out on the land, seeing you out there in Arizona on your land someday, meeting Samantha. And yeah, it's still cutting out, so the signal just kind of is really not good right now. So you might be logging off and back on. We'll see. But I want to thank you all so much for joining us on United We Stand sessions. Adam, hope to see you out on the road for United We Stand this fall, and appreciate all your support throughout this past decade. There you are.
All right. How much did I get dropped for? How much of that?
Probably the last minute or two.
Oh, okay. So did you get to see the tree?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, the tree now.
Well, after that, no, the tree with that kept growing. Did you hear me?
No, it might have dropped. I think it dropped before then.
Okay. Yeah, it's overheating, so I got to sign off. But this is a tree that got knocked over and decided to just keep growing sideways, and I think it's absolutely beautiful.
Oh,
and
there it is.
Yeah, you can't see this in the morning and have a bad day. So with that, thank you, Christina. Thank you for this opportunity, and thank you to everybody who supports you and makes your work possible.
You as well, Adam. See you on the road.
Right.
Ready to build it.
Peace and love, y'all.
Lots of love, Adam.